Stanley, you there?
We're good.
Awesome.
All right, would you please stand, join me in the pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. How we doing with the minutes?
They're right here.
I didn't see them on my website, so. Did anybody else get them? I looked early this morning. Anybody see anything?
Looked all right to me.
It's all right.
It's fine to me.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I would, motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, February 19th.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Rick, aye?
Ken, I.
Chris, aye.
Elizabeth, aye. Now I get to send it back.
The cover for it.
Oh, okay. Thanks. There you go.
Thank you.
All yours.
Public hearing, this is a continuance, right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody here for this hearing?
Oh, we're still waiting on Max, but he's on the way.
Not everybody's for this hearing alone.
You got it.
There's other stuff on the, that
Yeah.
they're here
Okay,
for.
well,
like three
I'm looking
different
at this
things.
public hearing thing and I'm not seeing much else, okay. Well, let's do the public hearing continuance and get that out of the way. Who's up?
It's for the A and R,
Yeah, where is it? Who's up?
Elbeth Road.
yes.
Is that you? Come on down.
That's it? Yes. Okay, this is an A&R for Sean Crivia, 275 Malbrook Road. It consists of two 11.7 acre lots separated by a piece about 15 feet wide that Sean is retaining where his barn is and where his horses are. That lot is noted on the plan as being not buildable, so he's not gonna build upon it.
Does that lot have a separate designation?
I can't hear you, sir.
Does that lot have a separate designation?
Yes,
Okay.
there are parcels A, B, and C. Parcel A is the 4/10 of an acre that Sean is keeping with the access to it. Parcel B is 10.65 acres. That's gonna be eventually conveyed to one of his children. Parcel C also will be conveyed to his son. They both have, there's access to the son's parcel and to the daughter's parcel without his, basically. But We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So basically, it should be a pretty straightforward A&R.
So these are two estate lots you're.
They're basically estate lots.
Yeah.
And they're separated by what Sean's keeping, so they're not contiguous.
They're separated by that 15-foot.
It's 13.04 or something like that. I lied, 13.03. But basically, it's just access to his barn.
And the barn is just a barn, it's not a residential?
It's not residential. It's got 2 or 3 horses in it, a couple of goats out in the field. I don't know what else you got there.
No, that's it.
These are the zoning issues?
No.
Okay.
The frontage requirement is supposed to be 150 feet. Because they're estate lots, I'm not sure. And then we have the MGL, which I printed out for you, for 81R. So that one, it just read, a planning board may, in any particular case where such action is in the public interest and not inconsistent with the intent and purpose of the subdivision control law, waive strict compliance with its rules and regulations. The only problem, and that was brought up to me today by Stuart, is that it's the purpose of the subdivision control law. And this is an A&R.
But I thought the estate law wordage said that you can't have more than 2 estate lots contiguous. And the fact that he's got them separated.
I think that's fine. I think it was just the frontage that was the issue.
Well, the frontage for an estate lot is only 50 feet.
50 feet. The frontage of those 2 lots, if I can read my own writing, is the one on the left that's going to go to Jake has 58.37 feet, and the one that's going to the daughter's got 81 and a half.
So they
what is
exceed
the-
the estate lot minimum.
Yes.
Yes.
And square footage requirement is,
Okay.
on the estate lots, this is way over.
Way over.
Yeah, way
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if this were to be granted, the siting of the house would still have, you know, the law. You know, when you go to site these, the building inspector is going to want to see that you've got proper setbacks.
Correct.
Right.
Because the idea of the estate lots is, yeah, we'll allow you to build on these large parcels as long as you get off the street
Right.
and get well behind any abutters, you know.
Did you speak
So-
to John too? John
I did,
Henderson?
yep. I just talked with him, he sent me an outline of what would be the next step for conservation, which entailed getting a perk test, which we already did. We're waiting for the design because of the wonderful weather we had this year. And then I got the wetland surveyor lined up also, will be coming in and that stuff, so.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. There's more than 50 foot all the way up along the area that you could use to get access to Lot C. This one could be directly accessed for the road. You still have to be, I believe it's 200 feet back, and all those can be maintained.
Right, and I think there's wordage and language in that zoning ordinance that says that you have to be able to pass a 50-foot sphere.
Right, which you can.
You can't constrict anywhere through, and it looks like you've achieved that on this plan.
Other than what might have the conservation restrictions, so that's plenty of them. We have no indication of that on there. Anybody else got anything else, any questions?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Kind of looks like it.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's got any concerns, I'd make a motion, we approve the plan as presented.
All in favor?
Alex, aye? Rick, aye?
Chris, aye.
Elizabeth, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, John.
Side by side
Lady?
state lot.
Yeah, that's the one in the middle, the barn lot.
Just do a subdivision. I'll stay out of it.
Okay.
That's side by side. They touch each other.
They do after the barn lot.
Okay. I don't think that's the intent of the bylaw, but it's not my call.
He said it was the intent of the bylaw, but
Because,
it meets the standards of the bylaw, so.
yeah, because the barn lot,
But it's not a buildable lot, it's just a strip of land, so.
yeah, because the purpose of the barn lot is to provide that break,
Yeah,
but it doesn't go the whole way.
Well,
But I mean, they're,
it's not continuous on the frontage, right?
Right.
That's-
Yeah.
That was the.
admittedly, this is a workaround, you know, the idea of, but I think the way the bylaw is written, this meets the criteria for the bylaw. I believe it does.
I agree.
And given the state's push to create density and create more living, housing and on property, this is a good way to add more use to this land than would otherwise be able to, so. But I do believe it meets the spirit of the estate bylaw. I think typically when it was drafted, they wanted to see 150-foot strip of land, or more, with a conventional lot between it, but I don't think there's any wordage in that requires that, so I think we're okay.
If we're not, somebody will let us know.
Yeah, because there's property that I know in other parts of town that there's a parcel that's in between, but the estate lots still touch in the back.
Yeah,
I know that for sure.
That's the whole idea behind it.
doesn't-
Yeah.
It doesn't have to come through the whole thing.
No. Yeah, and I don't think it was designed for that. The whole idea, in fact, I know it wasn't because the lots separating it, the whole reason why you had setbacks, because if you were in the front lot, you wouldn't want somebody with an estate lot coming and plunking a house right in your backyard, right, like right behind your house. That's why, and so we knew going into this that the estate lots would eventually probably do just what this is.
Right.
And as long as they meet those setbacks, then we should be okay.
Mm.
Yeah, but that'll be up to the building inspector
Right.
when they do the site.
And that was the intent of the estate lot,
Yeah.
if my memory is correct.
Do we have, you can sign the,
I can sign the A&R.
yeah, you can do the A&Rs, yeah.
The other part is a special permit for the common driveway,
Oh,
Oh,
that
sorry.
we opened as well.
oh, yeah, I forgot
That
about
was a
that.
big
I'm
one.
sorry about that. Well, we'll take them separately, so.
But yes, I can sign it.
Okay.
Did we get any feedback from any, of the highway department? Anybody had a problem with it?
No.
No?
What about utilities going in, water, sewer?
That's,
There's no water, there's no water, no sewer, so we don't have that issue. Okay.
and I did, not to interrupt, but I did do a driveway permit back in the day when I put that barn in. Chucky signed off on it and everything.
All right, so you're just gonna extend the original driveway,
Correct.
which is
Essentially,
a couple hundred feet up.
Pretty flat through there anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
it's
I
pretty
was
flat,
even-
it's all good grass, it's excellent soil. There shouldn't be any water problems in that area.
Good line of sight on the roadway?
Very good.
Okay.
Well, not really add much to it anyway,
No.
so. What do we add?
It's existing, really.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
improving.
the high point is probably somewhere around the barn. So you've got a good view down into what's gonna be, what is Lot C. You got plenty to see over here. Then about in this area it breaks that way a little bit. It's,
All right.
yeah, and it's all grass and hay now. No ponding, no puddling.
No, it won't be an issue until it's not in common ownership with family.
Doesn't matter.
That's when the common driveways used to become an issue. But
Anybody have any concern? If not, I'd make a motion that we approve the special permit for the common driveway.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Alex, aye.
Rick, aye.
Ken, aye.
Chris, aye.
Elizabeth, aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much, appreciate your time.
Give me a call. Take care. Take it easy.
I'll send it if you have it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whenever you come back.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Sorry.
What do you got next, guys?
Well,
What are you springing on us, because I see people
He
here.
should be here in just a few minutes.
yeah, we have FT Smith for a talk, but it's more of a discussion, so he asked to go last. And then we have Maxwell LeBeer, and he should be here soon, but he'd also asked to go last, so now we're at an impasse.
So who's ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Bring yourself up here and let's get to
I
it.
feel like I've been here as long as you guys have.
Maybe longer.
I think so. Fred Smith, I own property on Greenwich Road, and we're here tonight just to discuss a proposed habitat project that we, I'd say, partnered with Mass Wildlife to do a enhancement project for the habitat. And in turn, we would propose to extract some gravel and then donate the land to Mass Wildlife for the whole site.
Gravel permit's already active, isn't it?
It is, Rich, but the back half of the property was not permitted. That was kind of phase 3.
Oh.
And we had some of the protected habitat. And as you know, with the solar project, they've done quite a bit of work there, and that pretty much went by the wayside.
So where are you with that now?
I guess it's not happening, Ken.
They can't get the
Credits.
the upgrade to the.
Can't get the upgrade.
It's all National Grid, and, we've gone through.
So have they abandoned the project?
Abandoned the
Yeah,
project.
they had told, we were
Yeah,
notified last week, or last meeting, that they had pulled the permit.
Yeah, we already discussed
For
that.
a number of 3 of them.
Yeah.
Not just him, not just him.
Yeah.
So I think
I
it
just wanted to make sure
was,
this was one of them and get
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, yeah.
get it into the
I
minutes.
think it was eight years of, a lot of grief.
How does the work they've done affect what you have going on now, or what you want to do?
So as far as dealing with natural heritage or anything, we've already done that through the solar project.
Right, I remember.
So since there's been a meeting with Mass Wildlife with some of the National Heritage members and discussions, we actually met Mass Wildlife on the site.
When was that? How long ago?
2 months, Ross?
I was gonna say, was that in December?
I think it was December,
It was before all the snow, but it was
Okay.
during the,
just before.
yeah, so I think it was in December, maybe early
And
January.
what happened at that meeting?
So we walked the site, we talked about some conceptual ideas with Mass Wildlife in terms of what we could do for habitat improvements. I'll provide a little bit of backstory and context. So Mass Wildlife is really interested in things along the Muddy Brook corridor in that valley.
Okay.
They own just over 2,000 acres to the north of it. A lot of it's in Hardwick. And over the last 10 years, they've been doing a lot of habitat restoration projects there. So the work we want to do here ties in really well to that, because we're bounded by Muddy Brook as well. We're right in the corridor. And a lot of the work that we would do in this operation really benefits habitat in the end. So we're working with them to come up with ways that we can do this to improve the habitat, kind of for the long-term benefit of the site. And that involves, removing some trees and then doing some gravel cuts, shaping things to make like turtle nesting habitat, things like that.
So it'll actually make an area for the turtles rather than, scaling buildings and traveling 2,000 feet.
So a lot of the interest in this valley is because it's a unique habitat type. They're called barrens, which is these sandy soils that are somewhat rare to Massachusetts. So these communities are fire dependent. So historically, these sites have burned. But since, we don't really let ground burn in Massachusetts anymore, we don't let wildfires happen, we get a lot of generalist species growing there, your white pines, your maples. So what they've done is they've removed the generalist species so that some of these rare and endangered species can, function as they used to.
So they're actually planting?
So a lot of it's done through the use of fire. They found out that a lot of these seeds and these species are still there.
So they're coming up once
They're just,
the
yeah,
species is out of the way?
right.
They're
So,
snuffing them out, the new
yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, we haven't allowed the community to function like it used to because we don't have fire on the landscape. I think there's 75 endangered species that they know of on the site where they worked. There's some species that they have never, maybe not never seen, but they rarely see. They didn't know were there. Now they're showing up.
So you do controlled burns?
So they do a lot of controlled burns.
It's becoming more popular on the forestry side of things too.
Yeah.
We see it on the meetings that we go to for
Yeah.
timber harvester stuff. They do controlled burns by the fish hatchery in Belchertown.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more.
Right.
In a lot of the gravel sites, like abandoned pits that were, created years ago, they're starting to go back in. I know people up in Maine and New Hampshire, Connecticut, and even the members of Mass Wildlife said that the old way's not working, like just let everything grow up. And by doing these sites this way, it's really made a huge difference. You know, and if you've seen the site now with the gypsy moths, what they've done to the oaks, if you walk the site, it's pretty sad. I mean, looks like a tornado went through. And the Ware Conservation Land abuts, the other side of Muddy Brook to my piece. And, the devastation is, and it's noticeable from 2 months ago. So it's a mess. It really needs to get cleaned up, and because there's no habitat, in my opinion, there now. So
how much gravel are you looking to extract for the purpose of this?
there'd be a fair amount, Chris, and two things. What it would do is help me a little bit. Number one, financially, and enable me to donate the land afterwards. And two, it would make the site more to what Mass Wildlife's looking to achieve, in terms of, cuts to the brook height, so the turtles can come up out and, have a slight rise and then back into some of these rolling areas instead of a 60-foot,
Steep.
embankment, pretty steep. And it would match in with the neighbor's property as well, because they've, down the lower side, they are already cut
So,
pretty low.
How much of a cut you talking about?
25 feet, 30 feet in areas, and not all of it, Ken, it varies.
Yeah.
So what they're requiring is I would use the same engineer that did the solar project. He's familiar, he's already gone to DEP and conservation and natural heritage, and, do a plan. It has to go to them for review,
So it'll be like a partnership thing with them?
It would,
Okay.
yeah.
Burton Engineering? Was that Burton?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so.
It is, Elizabeth, yeah.
So is it fairly comparable to what was originally proposed for the gravel removal?
It would be,
So-
Rich,
Yeah,
actually,
that's what I'm
in
saying,
phase
yeah.
3, it's
So we're
basically,
basically
it's gonna mimic
doing what's
that,
there, just adjusting it a little bit, so.
they're gonna adjust it.
You're gonna process material there, or you're just gonna move it out?
We did, so what I would like, so because of the habitat, they're really not on the move during the winter months. So I'm gonna propose that, you know, if we work closer to the brook first during the winter months, move that gravel up to the existing site that we're extracting now, put it in a stockpile. That way it would speed up the time that we're actually down in that zone. You know, instead of saying, oh, it would take 2 or 3 years to extract that, you know, we might be able to do it in 2 or 3 months.
Do you have a market for that much material in that much time?
Well, I mean, we use it.
No, he was gonna stockpile it.
Just gonna-
So-
Do you
so
have
that- so-
room to stockpile all that material?
We have room.
Okay.
Yep.
Where they're already mining.
Okay.
So, and then there's another thing, so where we're mining now, I've left the berm separate, you know, as a curtain, if you will, to the Greenwich Road, to the site. So we've left the growth, you know, just so the passing vehicles, the neighbors, you know, they're not looking in. And, you know, if we do this project, I would like to start this first and leave that in place till the very end. You know, courtesy to the neighbors, it's a noise buffer.
Noise down.
You know, and we get along great with the neighbors and, you know,
So-
haven't had any issues and.
So when you say after the completion, you're gonna donate the land, is that from the brook to the road?
Would be all of it,
All of it?
Chris, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've thought about trying to do a few house lots. As you know, we've tried pretty much everything there.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, if we can do this, maybe I could see where I could donate all of the property to them and, you know, it would be open space and.
And these are projects that, you know, Mass Wildlife has done in other sites. I think they have an active one in Sterling, pretty similar to this, where they're doing, you know, gravel extractions with the thought of, you know, instead of doing traditional restoration, we do like a habitat restoration.
Right.
And they're really pushing this in a lot of different pits too.
Yeah.
You know, instead of putting the loam back and, you know, trying to make it flat like a field, they want these open gravel soils. You know, one of the common
What's the
things.
advantage?
What's that?
What's the advantage to that?
So, there's not a lot of open gravel around, so a lot of species need that kind of soil. If you think about like wood turtles, it's a type of endangered turtle. They take 7 years to reach reproductive maturity, so it's 7 years before they can even lay eggs. If they have to travel a long way from the brook to get to where they can nest, that's a lot of time where they can get picked off by a coyote, run over by a car, anything like that. So having these open areas where they can easily nest close to, you know, their river, or this brook, or whatever their body of water is, cuts down a lot of risk for them. You know, there's a lot of plant species too that really do well on those poor soils that are very well drained. I know they were pushing a lot of low bush blueberry, and there's a bunch of other ones that are a little bit beyond my knowledge base that they're really focusing on.
You'll get that information from them though, right?
Yep.
As you come back.
Yep, so we're working with their ecologists to kind of get, you know, advice and feedback on this.
Okay.
So I guess the reason why I was asking the line of question that I had before about the extraction of it, it would seem that if it can be, there's two ways to approach it, like you say. You can either try to mine it as you can sell it, and at the very end, down the road 3 or 5 years, then you try to do your habitat restoration. That, I think, would have to probably require a permit for earth removal
Well,
permit.
it would be a modification of the existing one, basically.
Well, the other thing though.
But where I'm going with this is, if it's done all at once, and it's not really a mining operation, it's a habitat reclamation area.
I think that what he's trying to do is get the lower section closer to the brook done first and get that reclaimed, and then have everything sitting up top so that the bottom area is.
So
Right, but
what you're trying to do is move that material up where you
Yeah.
can mine it, where you're already mining material out
At
of
your
it.
convenience when the market's available.
Well, and part of that too would be to give the habitat, so
Time
we
to-
complete an area, like a phase, then they would require us, Mass Wildlife, to fence off, and then we can be working on the next phase, but
It's
not
further away.
disturbing that,
Yeah.
you know, and being the brook's edge first, that's where they would be, and then we could just kind of phase our way up.
The farther where you get, the less you'll involve the brook.
Right,
Right.
and then by transporting the material up, you know, say a couple of haul trucks during the winter months, stockpile up to where we're working now, would be easier for the trucks hauling out. They'd come into the same, you know, up top, we wouldn't be down back at all. And, you know, we could move much quicker, we could flip that zone, that phase over, you know, much faster.
Long conveyor belts.
I guess what I was thinking is like down, like West Street, the storage buildings they put behind, they moved a ton of
Right.
material up, but they didn't have to have an earth removal permit because it was,
part of the
it was
construction
part of the
process, yeah.
construction. In this case, it's part of the construction of what
Yeah,
they're
but it's
trying to
under-
do.
That's only if it's under a building permit, I think. They were building.
Well, I don't,
It's like when-
I
that's
don't
like
know,
when- Yeah, it's like when they were doing the Cumberland Farms.
yeah.
They moved to town, but they were basically giving the stuff away. If somebody brought a truck in, they loaded it up and said.
I feel like I am,
Yeah.
Rich, after I give them the land.
But, you know, I
This
just
is not an
assumed
easy
that
thing to.
you might have something, you might be right about actually construction of something, but I just thought, you know, in this case, it's part and parcel to
A project.
a project, if you will.
It would,
But,
it
you
would
know,
be
we
a
can look into
wildlife
it.
enhancement
If, I
project.
think that, I think once they get the Mass Wildlife, you know, sign off, if you will, then I think that would make sense.
But he's still not gonna be able to, you can move the stuff up and move it around on the site at his cost. That's costly for him to do, but you're not gonna just get rid of it off the site just for the sake of, Mass Wildlife isn't gonna pay
No,
them
no.
for the
No.
gravel to get rid of the
Right.
gravel or anything. So
Right.
you're not gonna get rid of that gravel until you have a market for that gravel, so.
Right.
As we've seen in the past, the market comes and the market goes, so you're gonna stockpile it up, away from the brook, away from everything, and sell it as it's available. You can't really set a timeline on it.
Right.
Well, we do bring it back to my site in North Brookfield,
But
and,
that's cost of, oh, you're not gonna move the whole mountain.
well.
Well, unless you want, I mean, you can. I mean,
No,
I'm not
no,
saying
we
don't,
stay, you know, just
but,
stay
you know, reasonability.
steady at it as best we can, and, you know, I really would like to see that berm up by the road stay in place in its natural state, just, you know, so my point, if we get to the point where, you know, we need more material out of the permitted area, you know, I don't wanna be forced to take that berm down, knowing that,
Right.
you know, we may move into this. I just think, you know, leaving the trees and everything to
Right.
protect the neighbors and noise and,
I would say you gotta bring some type of plan with the phases and whatnot, and, you know.
yeah, and
sort of stuff, yeah.
we will,
It
Rich.
doesn't have to be a final plan.
Just kinda wanted to get the board's feedback, you know, if you'd be acceptable to the project. We did mention the Mass Wildlife, we were gonna come in and just for a discussion and.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're laser focused on the animal habitats. So that's where your goal is to achieve that. I guess my question is, given that this is a sensitive area because of the aquifer will be, is there any information you can give us that, although it might be helping the habitat,
Yeah.
are we going, is it be a disadvantage to the?
Right.
And I guess would wanna hear something of, you know, how this
Sure.
it won't adversely impact.
Right.
We don't wanna trade fix one problem and create another.
You gotta look at everything and what's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
I think Callisto Burton, touched on that, and he said it actually enhances, it'd be better for that as well, Chris, but again, he could answer that better than I could.
Say if we're basically going no deeper than what's already approved that they can do anyways, there's not gonna be any harm, and if you're not gonna have houses up front, that's even less harm.
Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
you got
I
less
think it's
septic,
smart
you
to
got
look
less
at.
oil.
So Mass Wildlife, they would ultimately like the whole piece, because we talked about maybe a few houses, and they said, well, if they have to burn the site,
Right.
they really, wouldn't want the houses there and so forth, and
Yeah, you can see how a house might have a problem with fire going on behind it.
I mean, if you can talk to Gagliarducci and combine both the parcels under the same program, that would be great too.
Well,
That would, it would be.
to be honest, Rich, I have reached out to Jerry, and he's open to it,
That would make the
so.
most sense, is just combine the two, bring them all to the same matching levels.
Yeah.
Don't we want to have the big mound between the two
Right, yeah,
properties too?
it's foolish, it's like the mound on the
Yep.
other end of theirs.
And then Kucha's as well, and actually, if you look at Kucha's property, I think the whole thing would be down to his lower
That's, I
field.
think what the target was.
So the whole, it would match in nice, all the three properties would,
It would make a better parcel overall. Better.
it would,
Mass Wildlife would probably end up owning all of them anyways.
Most likely.
yeah.
They're not, they're, especially with the way the state is pushing the way the forestry and way the habitat stuff, this is not going away anytime soon.
Right,
If you think about it, I
Right.
think that's what they're doing down at the fish hatchery in Palmer.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly,
they mined
Rich.
out, and then
Yep.
it's all gonna be donated to Mass Wildlife.
Exactly.
Oh, it is Palmer Pavings, Lynn?
Yep,
That was my understanding. from
I'm
what they
pretty
brought
sure it
so,
is.
yeah.
yeah. They're starting, Mass Wildlife said they're really pushing to do this, because it's really beneficial to the species.
Until we see something kind of more solid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Just-
conceptually, I'm certainly
I'm intrigued.
open to it, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Basically, just wanted to propose it and get a little bit of feedback, and
Yeah, like I said, I think I would spend, a substantial amount of time fortifying an argument that it's going to not only enhance the habitat, but it's not going to adversely affect the
Mhm.
water supply.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, because for me, that's the only issue.
I think so. My property, I think, Chris, is the only one that's kind of up at that point, like Rich was saying too, it would match, all the abutting properties.
Yeah. Well, let's see what you come up with.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming
your
in.
time.
Thanks for
Okay,
giving us a heads up.
we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Good night,
you.
guys.
Have a good night.
Okay.
My turn.
You're up.
Right.
Come on down.
I like coming to hang out with you guys. I'm not here for anything super special. Well, it actually is super special, I think, but whatever. All I need is, and I just need to be able to appeal to the ZBA. Because when you guys originally found and denied me, I was told that I was allowed to appeal, but I didn't understand exactly how the appeals process worked, and I figured the letter that I got in the mail, the next letter I got in the mail, I figured it was gonna be like, hey, this is what we found, and these are your options. But it was just like, you didn't appeal in time, it's done. And, so I guess.
Can I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
We're talking appeal to the ZBA, or are we talking about
Appeal.
appealing to the, like, through court?
Today or in general?
No, like if
What
somebody,
you're saying.
if somebody wanted to, if we made a decision,
Right.
somebody could challenge it in court.
No, I don't wanna change.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm trying to make sure what the town sent you wasn't referring to court action,
No, I have the paperwork here.
and it's
It's
strictly,
just, yeah, just the ZBA.
Just the
Just the
ZBA.
ZBA, and then,
I think you can do it anytime. Can you?
well, what, so I can show you what I got.
Yeah, and, so I think I had the same thing.
Oh,
you do.
yeah, it's the same.
So the language is, per MGL, the decision and the certificate of no appeal must be recorded at the registry of deeds. Once the document is recorded, and then, it's not really super straightforward. And then also too, the decision is subject to appeal in accordance with MGL within 20 days after this decision is filed with the town clerk. And the no appeal was filed by the date of September 11th, so I'm not really sure. I thought it had to go
Who
to,
filed the no appeal?
we did.
Yeah, because nobody
Well,
went to
yeah.
the town clerk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Appealed it.
But when we,
But
when
then
we,
they wanted to go to
that's-
court,
yeah,
but
that's-
he's
but-
talking
yeah,
about
but
going to the
Yeah, you
ZBA
go
for
to the
variance,
ZBA,
correct?
I think what you're referring to is when we tell people they have 20 days to appeal it,
right.
it's to go to the court
Yeah.
and say, I appeal.
Yeah, that's
asking
to notify the
to-
town clerk.
I think the ZBA is a different thing.
Right, I
Yeah,
would think so,
that's-
It's,
yeah.
yeah, because it would be like.
That's
appealing
more
our decision.
internal, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a timetable on that.
No, because he had the option to go to that.
Well, the only,
for-
yeah, the only thing would be the order from anybody enforcing, trying to say he can't continue unless he has something in the process. I don't know if that, I don't know if you haven't got anything from Anna, right? For like a cease and desist type thing?
That's why I came back here, cause I did get a cease and desist, and it was, I didn't.
Well, that's probably just more of a formality.
I think, I
That's a
believe so, I
timing
have,
thing, there's rules when they have to go up a certain amount of
Right.
time. And yeah, that's a timing issue, but I'm not sure it precludes you from going to the ZBA.
I wouldn't
and
see
asking for
why.
a-
I think what you did was
Yeah.
fine, because they got, it's true, there's a 20-day appeal period, but that's to
That's-
Superior Court.
Right.
And that's to appeal our decision.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
just more of
not-
a notice even, that's not even a matter of, you only have 20 days to file it, you just
Right.
have 20
Right,
days to.
nobody appealed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you give notice to the town clerk.
Yeah, yeah, but
You're going
this,
to appeal it, your intent, it's a notice of intent
right.
to appeal.
I don't even think that precludes you from bringing it to court. It just says you didn't appeal it at that point, but
But it will,
I
it
think you
will.
can always bring
Well,
something.
you know what else
You
too?
can, but it will
But
cost
if
you.
you get an approval, you have to wait the 20 days if someone appeals it, so it's
Exactly.
not
Right.
necessarily so you
Right.
can appeal your own decision, it's to allow the public to come forth. and
Right.
appeal.
Yeah.
So
Right.
really, it doesn't really even apply.
and, yeah, and I would think somebody would have, we always tell people at the hearings, you have 20 days, because at some point, somebody who's granted that permit should have the right to go ahead and construct and not
Right.
worry about somebody
Yeah.
trying to appeal it after the fact.
Right.
So I think that's why the 20-day appeal is
Yeah.
in place. But like you,
This is
to what you
different, though,
said,
yeah.
it's really, he's not, when he goes to the ZBA, he's not really appealing our decision. He's asking for a variance,
He's starting over again.
you know, but you have to, you had to go through this process so they
Be able
can,
to activate
So
that.
they can-
to go activate the next. But,
Right.
so I think you're good to go to the ZBA, that's my personal opinion.
So will he apply for an appeal or for a variance?
He's gonna apply for a variance like he was never here,
Yeah, it'd be a
that would be
variance.
my,
Okay.
that would be my interpretation.
Right.
Got you.
Yeah.
'Cause
I don't know if a variance would, you know.
I don't know if it's gonna
I got a
help.
question for you.
Nothing to do with
Yeah.
us.
It's another
Are there
avenue.
2 ways to go to the ZBA? Are you can
Yeah,
you can
so-
file an appeal?
So if Anna sends someone something that says this is a violation, they can file for an appeal through the ZBA. I have one right now.
Well, then,
Okay.
if he has a cease and desist order, then he could file an,
Yeah.
possibly
why I
could file
asked,
it,
yeah.
Yes.
oh.
In this
okay.
instance, I don't think he's trying to appeal our decision like we screwed up.
No.
Right.
I think what he'd be looking for is strictly a
Variance.
variance.
I have to agree with that.
He-
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants to take it to the correct order.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Give
Yeah.
him relief, right?
Yeah, so I would say that's the route you want to take, a
Have you
variance.
talked to Anna?
I did talk to Anna once, and,
How long ago? What did she
I
have?
talked to Anna
What was her
month and a
opinion?
month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago.
What was her suggestion? Because she knows a lot about the zoning laws. That's-
She said that, cause I told her exactly what I just told you guys, and, she said she wasn't exactly sure what to do, so I went up to Para's office and Kate was there, and I talked to Kate. And she was kinda like, well, I'm not exactly positive how this goes exactly, but, you would probably have to go back to the planning board to ask you guys for it to be okay for me to appeal to the ZBA.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, I don't think that.
I think you have the
You're
right
not
to go.
appealing our decision to the ZBA, you're asking for variance at this point.
Okay.
It's
A
like
relief.
you're starting over again.
A relief from our decision is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We told
exactly.
you, we told you that these were the rules, now you want to get a variance from those rules,
We
as
couldn't
we
grant it because of
explained
this,
them.
this, and this.
Yeah, we can't go off, we can't just.
You guys judge.
We can't
along.
change the rules, the
I know.
ZBA can give you relief from the
They can give you
rules.
more grace,
Yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
You would know that.
generally.
If you have a compelling argument as why,
Right,
and you can convince them you have a compelling argument that, for hardship or, you know, what have you. There's different reasons for a variance. So I would look at that, talk to people who've done them and put together a proposal that they could consider.
All right,
Give them something to sink their teeth into.
all right,
You'll
A
have to
reason to
recuse
say,
yourself.
you want them to say yes, give them a reason to say yes.
all right.
Do they know you're on the ZBA?
Do they know?
Do they?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, we know,
I
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
I am on the,
Yeah, I knew he was,
because I love our town.
Hey, you obviously do, you're here,
I do
you
love
know,
our
you
town.
contribute.
Still needs an alternate here on the planning board.
Yeah. Are you allowed to do both? Are you allowed to do both?
No, unfortunately, I already went
Kinda-
through that once with
You
somebody,
can't.
so.
Eric
Be
would
like
be
the-
great.
No. I didn't know
Oh.
public speak, that's why I was like, we have to wait till he gets here.
Okay,
When's the next ZBA meeting? They haven't had one in a while, right?
they have
Yeah,
one
that one
coming
coming
up.
April.
Yep, the end of April.
Well, the
So-
schedule is needed, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
so if we get it rolling, we could probably, timing wise, no promises, I need a calendar, but I think if we got it on, like, tomorrow.
So what do I need to do?
There's a variance application, if you want, I can email it to you guys,
Perfect.
but you just have to bring it in and we can get the ball rolling.
All right, perfect.
I mean, there's fees, obviously, but we'll roll it in and keep moving.
It's all good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys, it was lovely seeing you again. Always a pleasure.
Good luck.
Yeah, be well.
Thank you very
Still out
much.
there getting dirty.
All right, what's
Thank you guys,
next?
God bless.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good evening.
What's next, sir? Oh, update?
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, have a good one, you guys.
Take care.
Good.
What do you got for us, Tara? Nothing, I hope. No more surprises tonight?
No. Hopefully Stuart doesn't lock my door tomorrow. No, I think that's all we've got.
No, good. Well, no news is good news.
Yeah, and anything that I didn't bring up, you guys
Oh,
have?
I guess I do have something. April, the third Saturday in April is gonna be a walk. A downtown, or well, not downtown, but a Milliard, slash health district. I think I told you guys we were working on that, right? So they're doing a tour of the areas and everyone is invited, but it's just to walk around and use this crowdsourcing map. It's this really neat map online to say our ideas, and it goes a long way towards us getting grants in the future. But if you guys want to spread the word, the more public engagement we have, and public participation, the better it'll be.
What date was that again? April what?
Can you resend something to me?
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks.
I have it on the website too, but I know a lot of people don't check the website. I kind of wish we had our own Facebook page, because Kate and I would be all over that. It is April 19th,
Just doing it on Facebook.
and it starts at 10 a.m.
Ski season's over by then.
And where do people meet? At the
It's
mill
going
yard,
to
or-
start in the mill yard.
Okay.
Yep.
My
Can't miss
almost
us.
gave me crap, 'cause
And
you
then the
can't
last
find
thing
out
is
why.
that the subdivision regulations from the DLTA grant, the department has finished reviewing them. So I'm going to make the changes that they gave to me and email them to y'all to start reviewing. But hopefully we're one step closer to getting that off the docket, which I'm very excited to
I think
do.
we got a long way to go on that. start going through that. That's not gonna be simple.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, there's gonna be a lot of things that it's,
Well, we will march towards it.
Well, it's not only department heads, it's also state initiatives too.
Right,
we
and
gotta weed a lot of the state stuff out of those things.
yeah, PVPC use their
A lot
guide,
of unrealistic
so,
design criteria and things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't have the
Especially now with
DPW
what's going
director.
on in Washington and
Oh,
all the
part-time
fraud
guys
they're
out?
finding.
No, he's still
We
here,
got
the
some.
interim guy, but, I mean, he's
We're gonna
Part-time.
get
he's
slammed.
like, what, 2 days a week?
Yeah.
So,
How long does truck have? May or something? Is it May? May?
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Just a thought, we might wanna do like we do in the fall for the subdivision road inspection. We may wanna, at some point, towards the end of April or something, go through all of them and just kinda do a quick summary and get the information out to the people early, say, hey, this didn't make it through the winter very well, you got all summer, fix it, that type of thing.
Do you want me to put that on the schedule?
Yeah, that actually is a good idea.
Yeah, because that way they can't say, well, you just hit us with this in September or October, we had no time.
Right.
So,
Okay.
just a thought.
No,
And
absolutely.
there hasn't been any, I always seem to go back to this, there hasn't been any conversation about, invoicing the owners?
No.
No?
I got shut down pretty quick.
Why not? Was it shut down legitimately, or was it just shut down because they didn't want to cause ruffles?
I'd have to look at the email and read the email again.
Because if it's a legitimate reason, I get it, but if it's just like, oh, I don't wanna stir the pot type thing, then,
Yeah.
like, not really
No.
okay with that answer.
Well, if they're already paying taxes and there's no discount on the taxes, then they should be getting
Well, as the,
advantages too, so.
right, but
Well, to
the,
some extent, I have a sympathy for the
I have
property
sympathy,
owners,
I have sympathy
but
for the
not
property owners, but not for the
developers.
not for the
Yeah.
developer of the street. The developer of the street should be responsible, I know that,
As it is with a lot of, none of the retention basins are being maintained, they're not being inspected.
Yep.
It doesn't matter which subdivision it is, and I bet you we haven't gotten a report in on any of those. Even like the Walmart, WS development there, there's supposed to be maintenance plans that they're supposed to be doing, cleaning out the deep salt catch basins and doing everything. They don't send anything either, so I'm
Maybe
pretty
we're
sure,
gonna have to
I
stop.
haven't seen it, but I don't,
I haven't.
there's a
received
lot of things that get put in all these projects and all these
Well-
special permits, and none of it ever gets followed.
We do
Because
have
we
a-
don't have people to follow it up, I understand.
We do have a tax bill that goes out to the owners of these roads.
Yeah.
And there's a little line there that says, other. So you can attach, the town could attach a road maintenance fee to that. And it is collectible according to a couple of building inspectors I know from, that they have put them on, and when push came to shove, they have had to pay them as part of the tax bill.
I think
So-
you'd have to develop some type of a.
We're probably gonna have to have
Yeah.
like so much a lineal foot,
whatever.
you know, for winter maintenance
Sure.
or
And I
something.
think I'd
It's
have to
probably gonna
bring
come
in
back onto
Ashley
us,
too,
but-
because she puts all that
Right.
together.
Well, like I said, I just personally, I thought Ken had made a great suggestion with that originally. I just don't think it's right to just, oh, we don't wanna stir the pot, so let's just shut it down. It's not a legitimate thing. The taxpayers are paying for all this. It's no big deal for them, for the roads that would get approved, it's no big deal. Just come to the meeting, get the thing accepted. Like, what's the issue?
Yeah. Well, it could have been too that she was on maternity leave when I asked.
No,
So I misunderstood.
No, I'm not saying that is, I just wanna make sure that that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's happened in the past of, oh, well, just.
Well, I'm gonna talk to her about adding it to the tax bill potentially and see what she says.
We might wanna have a discussion about how we're taxing the owners of the roads. I don't know how that all happens, but
I don't
it's how we
either.
do things here. How we're coming to that assessment number, might be a motivation
Yeah.
to get them to go, well, I don't wanna spend, 40 grand a quarter
Yeah.
based on I got, there's 20 house lots being served off of this, and I gotta pay to cover the town's cost, let me get rid of this.
Right.
So,
And then that would also, for the ones that aren't in good enough shape, that would also motivate, I would think, to get the thing.
it would motivate them to get it upgraded, get it off their plate,
Right.
or,
It's also beneficial to the people that are there, anyways.
What we've got to be careful of too is like what's happened on at least one occasion or two occasions. The town has done a tax taking on a piece of
Yep.
property.
Mm.
And unless, luckily, we caught it and said, hey, no, we don't want to take this because we'd be taking the road and all the responsibility. And
Right.
Actually, what happened is, another one, they auctioned off one of the conservation lots that was never supposed to be built on or anything. And then we had to get that back. They had to kind of donate it back. I think somebody lost some money on that because they thought they could build on it when it was a conservation. You know, it's like,
It's rough.
Yeah, so obviously, there's gonna be some research, I just, like I said, don't want it to be just gone by the wayside. No, there's nothing ever
if
happened.
you have questions, we should discuss it. As this unfolds, maybe you can get us a couple answers to a couple of those things, and then we can take the discussion further.
Nothing ever took place with the Beaver Road situation, right? That just died out. I don't,
Oh,
where the guy wanted to build,
yeah, no, I think they realize they can't do it.
Talking about Beach Road?
yeah, Beach Road.
Oh, he marches ever onward.
He what?
He's currently talking to Anna right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
About
he
what?
submitted building permits for that buildable lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's trying to get a building permit?
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Anna's
Can't.
stopped him.
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah,
we'll
they keep trying to come at the end,
see. Yeah.
because they can't, I think they know that
And it's
it's not a
one-
buildable lot.
It's one realtor too that's like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Yeah.
not unusual.
yeah.
Realtors think they know how to develop real estate, they know how much a remodeling job costs, they know how much it costs to fix the house that they're selling up. It's
Yeah.
amazing how smart they are.
If anything does come of it, they'll be before you all, and that's exactly
Yeah.
where that process should lead.
What about Rodney?
So Anna has not heard from Rodney Galton. John Prentice has not heard from him. They have not moved forward in their building permits. No money has been exchanged. They have been radio silent.
So now, has anybody found out, to the question I had asked about, if they're making power like they're not supposed to be?
When I asked Anna, she said that they don't have any kind of CO. They have nothing finalized by her. John still has outstanding issues with them, so that would be holding up his approval too, to like
Right,
but
actually
is there
begin.
power going out onto the grid?
Well, that's what I mean, does
Yeah.
grid,
Without
just
the
grid-
wiring inspector's approval, I don't know
Yeah,
how
but
they
the wiring
can.
inspector was done. He had approved it as far as Anna said.
Oh, he
Yeah,
did?
you did.
So
Which
did
one
anybody
is this?
find out to the end, I had asked the
Once the
question
turnpike
last
goes.
week, I think or last meeting or two
So
meetings or
once
whatever
they
it was.
wanna put up
Has
the
anybody
decommissioning
called
bond or anything.
to find out if National Grid requires
Something's weird going on.
a CO to turn it on?
No, I do not know the answer to that.
So can we find that out?
Yeah,
I
we just
can-
need to know.
Because
Exactly.
if National Grid does not
Yeah.
require the copy of that certificate of completion, or whatever, occupancy, whatever you wanna call it, if they don't require it, then they could have, in theory, I'm not saying they are, but in theory, they could have turned the thing on and just said, okay, well, screw you guys, and, be done. I don't know if that's the situation, but it would be worth knowing.
That they just don't wanna talk to anyone.
Well, that's the
or
thing, they kinda
anything,
just
you
wanna,
know?
Well, if they're getting what they want.
Well, yeah.
that's when-
Right, so,
Okay.
I don't know if National Grid requires that or not, because I know National Grid doesn't require copies of other types of permits that state requires or town requires. National Grid doesn't require all those copies. You would think they would, but they don't. They just do it with what they,
Do they have to file anything with the Center for Clean Energy there to get their credits and everything? So that'd be another
I don't,
place to check.
yeah, it's possible. I don't know if they require that, I mean,
They must get, well,
You would
no,
think-
but I mean, if they're reporting in generation.
Right.
That might be a place to check too.
That's true, that's good suggestion, yep. So anyways, that would be something that I would like to know,
Me too.
Yeah.
so.
I don't like being bypassed.
Well, what they would be doing is very illegal, so.
Yeah, no, I get it, I'm not saying they are.
Illegal's nothing but a sick bird.
The daddiest dad joke I've heard all week.
Backing up to the subdivision, I know one of the things, Rich, you were specifically looking for is to beef up the protections for the town.
Yeah.
For these things. Is there something we can put in, like when we do lot releases before a way is approved by the town. Can we put, when we do these lotteries, could we say we need,
We need a bond.
or,
You need a percentage of it or something?
We need.
or no,
we need a
I
bond.
was actually going a different route. They have to prepare a deed to cut that lot off. If we release it, the deed has to be prepared, and they sell it to somebody,
They
right?
do, yeah, they have to do that.
Okay, is there something that we can require to be put on that deed that tells the buyer that the road is a private way at this point?
Well,
And
I mean,
only
that's-
until which time the town, the developer approaches the town to accept the road, will, where I'm going with this is,
Yeah. You wanna make sure the buyer is informed.
yeah,
Well, the
there's-
buyer should be informed by A, the realtor,
and a
and
lawyer.
B, and their lawyers,
way
and
the-
the title company.
The way the deed is
And,
written.
and the fact that they're part of the homeowners association.
But if it's not, that's what I'm saying, a lawyer is only, and a realtor is only gonna look at the deed that they had prepared. If it doesn't speak to any type of homeowners association,
Well, that's a failure on the title company's part for not doing the complete research.
Well.
I'm just thinking,
No, I know
simple
exactly.
wordage
Yeah.
that might scare a buyer
Yeah.
and force, like, if I were looking at that, I might say, hey, what the hell's this, you know? How do I know you're gonna finish this road? Maybe I don't wanna buy it, and maybe and maybe that might,
I think the simplest way is just like they do in like Springfield or anywhere else, if it's private way, it actually says, you know,
Private way.
Pine Street, private way.
yeah, yeah.
Well, there's
I mean,
there's
I'm just thinking if
certain
it's,
wording that I don't. I
we
don't
should be
re-
requiring to see that, we should be requiring, if we're gonna do a lot release on a roadway that's not accepted yet, we should be seeing what, something on the deed stating as much. When we,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
that would be
it's
good, yeah,
really
yeah.
simple. There's
Yeah.
just, there's two different ways to write the deed as far as the frontage on the road. Whether it says by the way, and there's two different ways to write it, and that tells you whether your road, your frontage stops at the road, edge of the road to take, the actual 40-foot take, or you own to the middle of the road.
No, none of
But
them,
there is
none
a-
of them own to the middle of the road.
Well, that's something that in our regs is really strange. The first time, but I will tell you that having owned property on private ways, there is language that specifically, the way the deed is written, tells me that I own to the center of the road because nobody owns the road.
I know on a people who built on paper streets
Yeah.
years and years and years ago, if the town,
Somehow it was
disbands
dissolved,
the road,
yeah, each person gets half.
each person gets
Yeah.
half,
Yeah.
the abutters get half, I know that,
Yeah.
I've seen houses built on top of paper streets.
yeah.
So,
It doesn't doubt, I don't doubt it. But I just think that'd be a big red flag, and at least we could, when these people who buy these places are mad later that they're not getting the services and stuff, we can say, well, talk to your lawyer or talk to somebody, it's right there on the
Yeah, I
deed.
mean, I think a lot of people that are buying, they don't look at anything, they
No,
just
they
sign
don't.
the stack of papers. It's like, I'll give you an example, going up Dugan Road. Now,
Why
there's a
don't we go
sidewalk on
back
both
to-
sides of Dugan Road. Everybody thinks that that's a quote-unquote town sidewalk. It isn't.
Right.
The property line actually goes to the road side of the sidewalk, so.
Right.
I've talked to people there, and I said, you know, if I was you, I would rip that out. Because if somebody falls on that, that's your fault, and technically, you don't have to shovel it for the winter.
Right.
don't even get into that, because we require people to shovel the sidewalks.
If it's
They
a
do-
town, if it's a town sidewalk, but that's not a town
If they
sidewalk,
do a
that's a
lousy
private
job,
one.
well, so they do a lousy job moving snow.
Yeah.
Somebody falls and gets hurt.
Yeah.
That's negligent snow removal. Who's responsible? The town or the homeowner
I don't
that they
think
made?
anybody-
The town or the homeowner that they made do the sidewalk, or they fine them.
Yeah.
If you don't do
I-
the sidewalk, we fine you. If you do it negligently, who's responsible?
Right.
How's the
And-
insurance
and, you know,
policy
look
for
at
the
the
town?
condition of the sidewalks, even if they are town sidewalks, they're horrible.
Yep.
I don't disagree. All right.
Anything else?
No.
I make a
good.
motion to adjourn.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're out of here.
All right.